Here's a great story. It was Jersey All Pro Wrestling, and it was during the Beatdown Clan era.
Oh,
And it was
BDC.
MVP and Samoa Joe versus Chris Hero and the infamous Teddy Hart. Now, Teddy Hart's quite a character. And I've always been okay with Teddy, but I've said this publicly and privately. I can take Teddy in small doses. So in the back, we put together a basic outline layout for the match. And we decide that it's going to be Joe up on Teddy. And all right, cool, everything's good. As soon as Chris Hero leaves, Teddy starts trying to politic to change the finish to Chris Hero. And me and Joe look at each other, we're like, dude, I said, hey, watch this, Teddy. You want to see how easy this works? Watch this. The finish is now Chris Hero over on me. See how easy that works? And he goes, no, I didn't mean it like that, man. No, yes, the fuck you did. You know? As soon as that man walked out, you start trying to put, oh, no, he's done that to me before. We're like, no, dude, like, we're going to keep the finish as it is. Joe on you, you know? So we get out there, and it's on YouTube, okay? I saw it recently. Somebody posted it, where he and I somehow we end up fighting outside the ring. And he drapes me across the barricade, like lengthwise. Yeah. So it's like splitting my legs and my chest is on it and I'm there. And he goes, stay for the moonsault. And I'm laying there selling as he goes back into the ring.
Oh.
And I go, oh, hell no.
Yeah,
I'm not going to let you moonsault onto me laying on top of this bed. Yeah. No, absolutely not. What the hell were you thinking? So I get down, and this dude does a springboard. He looks at me and sees I'm not there anymore. And for whatever reason, he just does a springboard moonsault just into the crowd. Like, I'm over here, he's over here, which I don't know how he was going to do that moonsault anyway, but then he just moonsaults into the crowd. And luckily, the guys that were there were, you know, some young, bigger guys. You know, nobody got hurt by him doing that nonsense. Wow. But if you see the clip, like I look at those guys and they're looking at me, and I just punched Teddy in the face. Bam! What the hell were you doing? What were you thinking? You thought I was gonna stay there for that? So we get back, we fight back into the ring. I think we tagged out or whatever, and then I let Teddy take over on me again. And he puts me down and he goes, are you going to stay for the moonsault this time? And he goes to hit a moonsault. No, I'm not going to stay, especially not asking like that, you know, like, no. So he went up for the moonsault and I rolled out of the way. Then I forgot what happened. The match continued, and then somehow I'm in there with Chris Hero now. And Chris goes, stay for the moonsault? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it, bud.
Yeah, you hit it, you know. But coming back to the rule, dude, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah. And I don't trust you to do it. Now, if it's something that is complicated and before the match, you said, hey, I have this thing I like to do. I'd like to get it in if it's cool. And then you show me how it goes. We talk about it. And if I'm comfortable with it, then yeah, okay, cool. You know, well, and the way I like to call matches anyway, I don't like to call spot for spot. I used to do that. Like most of us did when we first started memorizing this long sequence. You know, I don't care to do that anymore, but I do like to have an outline. I like to have a finish, possibly a break spot, and just if I do this, you do that. You know, and nowadays, if I'm on an indie show and I'm working with a young guy I've never met before, I'll tell him, give me 3 things you really like to do. And I'll let that person say, okay, well, I do this, I do this, I do this. Okay, cool. We'll plug those in. If I'm cool with him. Right, you know, if he says, yeah, the other thing I do is a spinning scorpion death plant, whatever, like, that's a great idea for you to do with somebody else.
Yeah, that's not going to work for me, brother.
That's not going to work for me, brother. Yeah, but give me 3 things you want to do. And then through the course of the match, you know, I'll say, hey, go hit this now, you know, and that's at that point. But I don't, as far as rules regarding, you know, calling it in the ring, it's just being comfortable with the person you're working with and not taking unnecessary risks, doing something you've never done before. If somebody calls something you've never done before, say no. Just say, no, I don't know what that is. I've never done that before. And you just let that go, you know, and do something, body slam.
Right.
You know?
So P, so you go on an indie show, quick little side quest here. Who calls the match?
Traditionally, the heel leads the match. And if not the heel, then the veteran with more experience.
Oh,
Nowadays, though, you got a lot of, it's a huge case of the blind leading the blind, because you got a lot of young people out there that don't have a lot of experience, that think they know what they're doing. And, you know, it's just two people, you know, with paintbrushes just splashing paint all over the place, rather than somebody saying, okay, this paint goes here,
Right,
this
right.
paint goes here,
Right.
and this is how you get this masterpiece.